When it comes to relationships, one of the most powerful tools at your disposal is silence. You might think that in times of conflict or heartbreak, speaking up, arguing, or pleading your case would be the best route. But the truth is, silence holds an immense strength that can often speak louder than words ever could. It's the kind of power that doesn't need to be explained or justified. Silence allows the other person to truly feel the weight of their actions, the loss of your presence, and the consequences of their mistakes. At first, silence may feel uncomfortable. After all, we're conditioned to respond, to react, to make our feelings known, especially when we're hurt. But silence in the right moments is a language of its own. It's not about shutting down or pretending you don't care. It's about giving yourself the space to breathe, to reflect, and to find clarity. And more importantly, it's about giving the other person the space to feel the void that you leave behind. You see, when you engage in endless arguments, trying to prove your worth or to explain why you're hurt, the conversation often becomes one-sided. It turns into a battle of words, where emotions are heightened, but no real understanding is reached. Words can easily be twisted, misinterpreted, or forgotten. But silence doesn't leave room for that. Silence is the absence of the defense you usually offer. And it's often in that absence that the person you're dealing with starts to realize the true value of what they had, or rather, what they lost. This kind of silence isn't just about refusing to speak. It's about creating a space that forces the other person to face the consequences of their actions without your input. Sometimes the best way to teach someone a lesson is to let them sit in the discomfort of their own decisions. The longer you remain silent, the more likely they are to reflect on their own behavior, to question why you've withdrawn, and to feel the pain of not having you around. It forces them to confront the truth. Without your emotional support, they are left with nothing but the realization of how much they've hurt you. It's not about revenge or making them suffer for the sake of suffering. It's about showing them that you are no longer willing to tolerate the behavior that has caused you pain. Silence sends a message that you are no longer available for the same old patterns. You're no longer putting up with disrespect, manipulation, or indifference. When you choose silence, you're not just protecting yourself, you're teaching them the very real consequences of their actions. And that in itself is a lesson that will stick longer than any angry words ever could. Let's be clear though, silence isn't an act of weakness. It's a choice, a strong, empowered choice. It's easy to speak when you're upset, to lash out when you feel wronged, but choosing to remain silent takes incredible strength. It requires you to stand firm in your own power, to trust that your absence will be felt more deeply than anything you could say in the heat of the moment. It requires you to value your peace more than winning a confrontation, and ultimately it shows that you're not afraid to walk away if that's what it takes to preserve your dignity and your happiness. And while you're remaining silent, it's important to remember that this silence is not just for the other person, it's for you too. In the space that silence creates, you give yourself the opportunity to heal, to reflect, and to regain your sense of self. When we're constantly caught up in the noise of arguments and emotional turmoil, we lose sight of who we are. We get swept up in the chaos. But in silence, we can find the clarity we need to move forward, to recognize our worth, and to understand what we deserve from a relationship. The act of choosing silence also teaches us how to detach ourselves from toxic behavior without feeling the need to explain ourselves. There is power in not engaging with someone who isn't respecting you. And when you stay silent, you are demonstrating to yourself that you are no longer willing to sacrifice your peace for someone else's lack of understanding. Now, the most profound part of silence is that it often allows the other person to feel your absence in a way that words never could. People often don't realize the value of something until they no longer have it. So when you take a step back and withdraw, it forces them to confront the reality of losing you. It's not about playing games or trying to manipulate them into missing you. It's simply about letting them experience the void you leave behind. And that void is powerful. It's a reminder of what they had and lost, and it becomes an opportunity for them to reflect on their actions, their regrets, and their mistakes. By staying silent, you aren't just waiting for them to realize their error. You're teaching them that you are not someone to be taken for granted. You're showing them that you are strong enough to walk away when necessary, and that you will no longer allow yourself to be treated as anything less than you deserve. And as painful as it might feel in the moment, sometimes that's exactly what they need to understand what they had and how much they've lost. You might not see the immediate impact of your silence, but rest assured it's there. It's working. When you let go of something or someone that has been a part of your life, it's not just about saying goodbye to that person, it's about reclaiming your own life and your own sense of self. It's about realizing that in order to grow, to heal, and to move forward, you must first break free from the emotional ties that have been holding you back. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop caring or that you shut down your feelings. It means that you begin to prioritize yourself over the toxic dynamics of a relationship that no longer serves you. And in doing so, you find a strength in yourself that you may not have even known existed. When you're constantly giving of yourself, whether emotionally, mentally, or physically, it's easy to lose sight of who you are. You begin to define yourself by the relationship, by the other person's needs, and by the emotional weight of the situation. Over time, that becomes draining. It chips away at your confidence, at your self-worth, and at your ability to stand tall in your own identity. But when you make the decision to detach, when you choose yourself over someone else, you make a powerful statement. You say to yourself, I am enough. I deserve more than what I'm getting. And in that moment, you are reclaiming the power that you had unknowingly given away. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop loving the person or that you stop caring about what happens to them. It means that you begin to recognize your own worth and stop allowing the dysfunction of a relationship to define your happiness. In relationships, we often think that we have to give everything, our time, our energy, our emotions, just to make things work. But real love isn't about giving until you have nothing left. True love is about mutual respect, mutual understanding, and a shared commitment to each other's well-being. When you find yourself in a relationship where your needs are constantly unmet, where you're sacrificing your peace for someone else's comfort, it's time to stop. It's time to step back and recognize that you have the power to choose something better for yourself. Choosing emotional detachment doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, and it can be incredibly difficult, especially when the emotions you feel are still raw and unresolved. But it is in those difficult moments that you begin to rediscover yourself. You begin to understand that your worth isn't tied to the approval or validation of another person. It's not about proving anything to anyone. It's about choosing peace, choosing happiness, and choosing the kind of life where you are valued and respected, not as an option, but as a priority. Sometimes detaching emotionally feels like a loss. We've invested so much into a relationship, given so much of ourselves, that letting go can feel like we're throwing all of that away. But the truth is, the only thing you're throwing away is the emotional burden that comes with staying in a relationship that isn't fulfilling you. When you detach, you allow yourself to heal, to grow, and to rebuild a life that is no longer defined by the pain and struggles of the past. You're not losing a person, you're gaining back your freedom, your peace of mind, and your sense of self. It's important to remember that emotional detachment isn't about cutting people out of your life or abandoning them. It's about setting boundaries, knowing when to walk away from something that isn't healthy for you, and allowing yourself to take a step back when needed. It's about understanding that sometimes love doesn't mean holding on at all costs. Sometimes love means letting go and trusting that the right people will respect your boundaries, appreciate you for who you are, and offer you the same respect and care that you give to them. And in this process of emotional detachment, you learn something incredibly valuable. You learn how to be whole, independent, and strong, regardless of your relationship status. You learn that your happiness doesn't rely on another person. You learn that you are capable of standing tall on your own, without leaning on anyone else for validation. You learn to trust yourself, your instincts, and your ability to navigate life's challenges without constantly seeking external approval or comfort. As you begin to detach, you'll notice a shift within yourself. The heavy emotional weight you've been carrying will start to lift. You'll begin to feel lighter, freer, and more connected to the person you were before the relationship, the person who was vibrant, confident, and full of potential. You'll start to recognize your own needs, and you'll become more attuned to what makes you happy, what makes you feel fulfilled, and what truly adds value to your life. Emotional detachment, in many ways, is the ultimate form of self-love. It's the recognition that you deserve to be treated with respect, that you deserve to be happy, and that you have the power to shape your own destiny. When you detach, you're not just walking away from a person, you're walking toward yourself. And in doing so, you'll find a strength and peace that you may have thought you'd lost. It's a journey of self-discovery, self-respect, and self-love. And when you embrace it, you'll realize that you don't need anyone to complete you. You are already whole. Because when you let go, you make space for something greater. something that honors you, values you, and ultimately helps you to become the best version of yourself. When you decide to stay silent and walk away from a situation that no longer serves you, it's not about running away or avoiding confrontation. It's about sending a message, a powerful, clear message that you won't tolerate being treated poorly any longer. But beyond that, it's about making the other person realize the true weight of losing you. Often, it's only when you're no longer there that someone truly understands the depth of what you brought to their life. Your presence, your love, your care, and your unwavering support were all part of something they took for granted. And when you walk away, when you choose silence instead of further engagement, they're forced to face what they've lost. There's a harsh truth we don't often want to admit, and that is people often don't value something until it's gone. We've all been in situations where we take someone's time, love, or efforts for granted. We become so accustomed to having them there that we forget to appreciate what they bring into our lives. It's easy to overlook someone's worth when they're always there, always available, always forgiving. But the moment they're no longer around, the moment they stop answering the phone, stop reaching out, stop showing up, the silence that fills the space they once occupied is deafening. And it's in that silence that the realization hits hard. I had it all, and now it's gone. It's one of the most painful realizations for anyone who has taken someone for granted. It forces them to sit with the discomfort of knowing that their actions or neglect caused them to lose something valuable. And it's only in that space of silence, when you remove yourself from the equation, that they are given the opportunity to reflect on how they treated you and what they stand to lose. The absence of your presence becomes a mirror, reflecting back to them all of the things they could have done differently, all of the times they failed to appreciate you, and all of the moments they let slip away without understanding your worth. Now, the reason this works so well is because silence strips away all the distractions. It removes the noise of arguments, the back and forth of trying to explain yourself, and the emotional chaos that comes with trying to make someone see things from your perspective. When you remain silent, there's nothing left for them to argue with, nothing left for them to deflect. There's just a void, and that void is where the truth starts to settle in. They have no choice but to confront the reality of the situation, the reality that they've lost you, and that you are no longer going to settle for being undervalued or overlooked. This isn't about making them feel bad or trying to punish them for their actions. It's not about playing games or seeking revenge. It's simply about letting them experience the consequences of their choices. The truth is, people don't always learn from words. They don't always change because someone tells them how much they've hurt you or how wrong their behavior was. But they will feel the impact of losing you. And that pain, that sense of regret, is often a much stronger teacher than anything you could say. By staying silent, you give them the space to feel the weight of that loss. You let them sit in the discomfort of knowing that the love and support you once gave them are now gone, that the person who was always there to pick up the pieces is no longer available. And the pain they feel is not just about losing you, but about realizing that they are the ones responsible for that loss. It's a powerful moment of self-reflection, one that they may not have had if you had continued to be present, if you had kept on forgiving them, or if you had kept trying to make them understand how much you meant. But here's the most important part. This realization, this feeling of loss, doesn't necessarily mean they'll come back. And that's okay. What matters is that they now understand the depth of what they lost. They now know what you brought to their life, and they have to live with that awareness. Whether or not they ever make things right is secondary. What's primary is that you've shown them the value of your presence. You've taught them that you are not someone to be taken for granted, that you will walk away when you're no longer being treated with the respect you deserve. And in doing so, you've not only empowered yourself, but you've also given them the chance to reflect on their actions and hopefully become a better person because of it. Sometimes the greatest lesson you can give someone is simply to let them feel the absence of what they had. It's painful, yes, but it's also necessary, because it's in that pain that they may come to understand what it means to truly value someone, what it means to show appreciation, and what it means to treat others with the respect they deserve. In the end, staying silent isn't just about making someone feel the pain of losing you. It's about recognizing your own worth and refusing to settle for anything less than what you deserve. And when you do that, when you you choose to walk away and let them feel the weight of their actions, you take back your power and you give them the opportunity to understand just how much you meant. Letting go is never easy. It can feel like you're giving up on something you've invested time, energy, and emotions into. It's as though you're leaving behind not just a person, but a piece of yourself, a part of your life that you've held on to for so long. But let me tell you this, letting go is not an act of weakness. It's an act of profound self-love. It's the recognition that you deserve more than what you're settling for. It's about realizing that holding on to something or someone that no longer brings you peace, joy, or growth is only keeping you from experiencing the fullness of what life has to offer. And when you let go, you create space for the love, happiness, and respect you truly deserve. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that love means never letting go, that you have to fight for someone no matter how much they hurt you. Society often paints this picture of love as something you should hold on to at all costs. But real love is not about clinging to something that's no longer healthy or fulfilling. Real love is about understanding your own value, setting boundaries, and recognizing when something is no longer worth your time and energy. And sometimes letting go is the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for the other person as well. When you're constantly pouring yourself into a relationship where your needs are ignored or unappreciated, you lose sight of who you are. You start to believe that your worth is tied to how much you can give, how much you can sacrifice, how much you can endure. You give, and you give until you have nothing left to give. And in the process, you lose yourself. You forget the person you were before the relationship, the person who was strong, independent, and whole. But when you let go, you take back your power. You stop measuring your value by how much you're willing to give up for someone else. You start measuring it by how much you're willing to protect your peace, your happiness, and your well-being. Letting go is an act of reclaiming your life. It's about saying, I deserve to be loved in a way that nourishes me, not drains me. I deserve to be with someone who values me, who sees my worth, and who shows up for me just as much as I show up for them. And when you let go of a relationship that isn't fulfilling these needs, you open the door to the possibility of something better. You allow space for a connection that aligns with your values, your desires, and your dreams. By letting go, you create room for the kind of love that supports you, that uplifts you, and that encourages you to grow into the best version of yourself. It's important to remember that letting go doesn't mean you've failed or that you've given up on the person. It means that you've made a conscious decision to stop sacrificing your peace for the sake of someone else's comfort. It means that you've decided that your happiness and emotional well-being are worth more than the fear of being alone, the fear of letting go, or the fear of change. Letting go is about trusting that you deserve more than the emotional chaos and disappointment that comes from staying in a relationship that doesn't nurture you. In letting go, you also allow yourself to heal. When we stay in toxic relationships, we often suppress our own emotions, our own needs, in order to maintain the peace or keep the other person happy. But the truth is, when we do this, we only create more pain for ourselves. We carry around unresolved feelings, hurt and resentment, and we become numb to our own needs. Letting go creates a space for healing. It's a chance for you to reconnect with yourself, to rediscover what makes you happy, and to begin the process of emotional recovery. It's the beginning of a journey back to your own sense of self-worth, to rediscovering the person you were before you were caught up in the web of a relationship that didn't truly honor you. Now, I know that letting go can feel terrifying. The fear of the unknown, the fear of being alone, and the fear of losing something you've invested so much in can make it feel like you're walking away from everything. But in reality, letting go is walking towards something better. It's walking toward a future where you are loved, respected, and valued for who you truly are. It's walking toward a life that is not defined by the emotional baggage of a past relationship, but by the freedom and possibilities that come with being true to yourself. And yes, letting go will be painful. There will be moments of doubt, moments when you question your decision, moments when the loneliness feels overwhelming. But every step you take in the direction of letting go is a step toward your own growth, toward a future where you are not held back by someone else's inability to see your worth. Letting go is about learning to trust yourself, learning to honor your feelings, and learning to create boundaries that protect your emotional and mental well-being. The beauty of letting go is that you make room for the right things, the right people, and the right experiences to enter your life. When you release what no longer serves you, you free up the energy and space to welcome the things that will enrich your life and help you become the person you are meant to be. Letting go is not the the end. It's a beginning. It's the beginning of your journey to healing, to growth, and to finding the kind of love and fulfillment you've always deserved. And in the end, letting go is the most powerful act of self-love you can give yourself, because it is only when you let go of what doesn't serve you that you can fully embrace the life that is waiting for you. The journey of reclaiming your peace and emotional balance is deeply personal. It requires a sense of awareness and strength that many of us don't realize we have until we face the crossroads of a toxic relationship or situation. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that love means endless sacrifice, that we have to bend ourselves to fit someone else's mold, or that we must keep giving without ever receiving in return. But what happens when you wake up and realize that you've been so focused on someone else's happiness, so consumed by their needs, that you've forgotten about your own? What happens when you finally understand that in trying to please others, you've lost sight of the most important person in your life? You. Choosing to preserve your peace is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of self-care. We often think that being selfless means sacrificing our own well-being for the sake of others. But there comes a time when you realize that your happiness, your peace, and your mental health are just as important as anyone else's. In fact, they are essential for building healthy relationships, maintaining balance in your life, and staying connected to your true self. And sometimes preserving your peace means walking away from people, situations, or behaviors that threaten your sense of calm, joy, and fulfillment. The process of preserving your peace begins with understanding that not everything or everyone is worth your energy. You have the power to choose what you allow into your life, who you allow to have access to your heart, and where you direct your time and emotional investment. Not every person you encounter deserves a place in your life, especially when they bring chaos, negativity, or emotional turbulence into your world. You are the gatekeeper of your peace, and you have the right to close the door on anything or anyone that disrupts your inner harmony. When you prioritize your peace, you begin to develop boundaries that protect your emotional well-being. Boundaries aren't walls. They're a way of showing your self-respect. They are your way of communicating to others what is acceptable and what is. In relationships, it's easy to forget to set boundaries, especially when we're constantly trying to accommodate others. But when you let go of the need to please everyone, you create space for the things and people that truly align with who you are and what you need. Setting boundaries is not about controlling others. It's about taking control of your own emotional and mental health. The real power lies in the ability to say no when you need to step back when things are overwhelming, and to make decisions that prioritize your peace over the approval of others. This can be difficult because we often fear rejection or judgment when we make these choices, but in reality, the people who care about you will respect your need for peace. They will understand that taking care of your emotional well-being doesn't diminish your love or affection for them, it only strengthens it. You can't pour from an empty cup, and when you constantly give without replenishing yourself, you're doing no one any favors, not you, and certainly not the people who rely on you. Preserving your peace also means letting go of the need to control everything. We often try to fix problems, mend relationships, or change the behavior of others because we want things to work out. But the truth is, not everything is within our control. People will disappoint you, situations will fall apart, and plans will go awry. But when you learn to let go of the need to control every aspect of your life, you start to find freedom. You start to let go of the anxiety that comes with constantly trying to make everything perfect. Instead, you embrace the idea that life is unpredictable, and that's okay. When you release the need to control, you make room for peace to flow in, for the things that truly matter to take center stage, and for you to experience life with more ease and joy. Another crucial part of preserving your peace is learning to trust yourself and your instincts. When you're constantly living in a state of emotional turmoil or self-doubt, it's hard to make decisions that are aligned with your true desires and values. But when you protect your peace, you reconnect with your inner voice, the part of you that knows what's best for you. Your instincts are powerful, and when you learn to trust them, you start to make choices that honor your needs and desires rather than succumbing to the pressure of what others want or expect from you. This confidence in your own judgment allows you to move through life with clarity and a deeper sense of security. Preserving your peace also means learning to walk away when it's necessary. Sometimes the best way to protect your emotional health is to step away from people or situations that are draining you. You don't need to explain yourself or justify your decision to anyone. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing yourself, for valuing your peace over the chaos they bring into your life. Walking away isn't always easy, but it is often the most empowering thing you can do. It's a sign that you value yourself enough to not settle for less than you deserve. And by walking away, you free yourself from the emotional burden of trying to make something work that was never meant to. In the end, preserving your peace is about acknowledging that you are worthy of love, respect, and kindness. It's about realizing that you don't have to tolerate drama, disrespect, or negativity to prove your worth. You are enough, just as you are, and your peace is non-negotiable. When you choose to protect that peace, you choose yourself. You choose the kind of life that nourishes your soul, that uplifts you, and that allows you to thrive. And when you make that choice, you'll find that the world around you starts to reflect the inner peace you've worked so hard to create. Because when you protect your peace, everything else falls into place. At the heart of everything is the simple but profound truth. You deserve someone who values you, someone who sees your worth without needing to be reminded constantly. The truth is, we often spend so much time fighting for someone's attention, begging for their love and pleading for their respect, that we forget that real love doesn't come with strings attached. Real love doesn't need to be earned over and over again. Real love sees you, understands you, and treats you as a priority without needing to be reminded of your value. And when you walk away, when you stand in your own power and let go of what isn't serving you, you open yourself up to the love that you truly deserve. Love that is easy, genuine, and reciprocal. We've all been there, investing so much time and energy into a relationship or a person, giving more than we should, sacrificing our own needs, all in the hope that somehow will be enough. But when we constantly find ourselves in situations where our efforts are ignored, where our love is not reciprocated, or where our worth is diminished, we need to stop and ask ourselves, what am I doing this for? What am I hoping to achieve? The truth is, the more you try to prove your worth to someone who doesn't see it, the more you lose sight of your own value. It becomes a vicious cycle, one that leaves you empty, drained, and questioning your self-worth. But here's the most empowering part of the journey. When you walk away from a situation like that, you are sending a message, not just to the other person, but to yourself. You are saying, I will not tolerate being treated as anything less than what I deserve. I will no longer settle for a love that is one-sided or a relationship that drains me. I am worth more than that, and I will wait for the kind of love that lifts me up, not the kind that holds me down. And when you make that declaration, when you choose yourself over the chaos and disappointment of a love that isn't right for you, you create space for the kind of love that aligns with who you are, the love that sees you fully and deeply and accepts you for exactly who you are. This is not to say that walking away is easy. It's one of the hardest decisions you'll ever make. The pull of the past, the fear of loneliness, the uncertainty of the future, they're all real and they can be overwhelming. But remember that choosing yourself is not about giving up on love altogether. It's about making room for the right kind of love to come into your life. A love that doesn't require you to change who you are. A love that doesn't need to be constantly earned. And a love that won't leave you questioning your worth. One of the most difficult things to accept is that sometimes people can't see your worth. They may not value you in the way that you deserve, or they may not be capable of loving you the way you need to be loved. But that's not your fault. It doesn't reflect who you are or how much you deserve. Their inability to appreciate you is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of them. And it's in moments like these that you have to remind yourself that your value is not dependent on anyone else's ability to see it. You are enough. You always have been, and it's not your job to convince someone of that. Walking away also means understanding that you don't need someone to complete you. You are already whole. We often get caught up in the idea that we need another person to fill the void or make us feel whole again. But the truth is, you are not incomplete without someone else. You are whole. And when you finally realize that, when you truly understand that you don't need anyone's validation to feel worthy, you begin to attract the kind of love that enhances your life, not the kind that fills a gap or patch up broken pieces. You become magnetic to the love that matches your energy, the love that honors your independence, your individuality, and your strength. When you walk away, you create space not only for the right love, but also for your own personal growth. It's easy to get lost in a relationship that's not working, to become so consumed by someone else's behavior that you forget to invest in yourself. But when you choose to leave, you are choosing to rediscover yourself, to reclaim the parts of you that you may have lost along the way. You begin to focus on your own growth, your own happiness, and your own dreams. And when you do that, when you start living for yourself rather than for someone else, you become the best version of yourself. You're no longer held back by the fear of being alone or the weight of someone else's inability to see your worth. You become free, free to pursue your passions, free to build the life you've always wanted, and free to attract the kind of love that you deserve. It's important to remember that walking away isn't about punishing anyone. It's not about revenge or trying to make someone feel the same pain they've caused you. Walking away is about taking control of your own happiness and emotional well-being. It's about recognizing that you deserve someone who sees your value, who treats you with respect, and who loves you with the same intensity and dedication that you give to them. It's about knowing that you are enough and that you don't need to fight for someone's love or validation. You simply need to be yourself. When you walk away, you're not losing anything. You're gaining everything. You're gaining peace, you're gaining clarity, you're gaining the kind of love that you've always deserved, and most importantly, you're gaining back yourself. So don't be afraid to walk away when it's time. Trust that the right person will come into your life and they will value you as much as you value yourself, because you are worthy of that kind of love.